Welcome back, guys, for another episode. Today we're going to be going through production design on a serious budget. I know, we never ever have enough budget, right? This is like the perpetual problem. So in today's episode, we're going to be going through the ways I tackle each and every project, whether it be a music video, a short film, feature film, a corporate film, and I maximize the production design to the limit on every production with no matter what budget I have. So by the end of this episode, I'm going to show you how you can utilize the items and space around you to reflect your characters and themes in your next projects. First of all, it's really good to understand what production design is. It's not just about choosing the colors of the walls or the texture of the fabric on the pillows. It is so much more. A production designer needs to understand the blocking of the scene, the characters, the tone, the themes, the story, the elements, and all of that is brought together into how they choose each and every element for the films. Someone who's incredibly well known for very meticulous production design, Wes Anderson, in his films, from everything from colors and themes that he draws out from his stories and imparts them on the world around the characters, and the way in which they think, feel, and live is so incredibly powerful.
I'll be out back. I'm going to find a tree to chop down.
Well, the first thing you really need to take stock of is what is actually possible and what is not possible based on the script that you have. So, breaking down that script and looking at what elements are required for the film is super important. If you have your character laying on a bed, well, I'm pretty sure you should be able to source a bed in someone's bedroom somewhere, so that's pretty doable. Whereas, if you've got someone jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge and you live in Barnsley, you've raised the difficulty level for the film quite considerably. So maybe you need to look at, well, what is the meaning of the Golden Gate Bridge, and can it be the bridge down the road that's actually only 6 feet off the water? But in essence, the story still plays out in the same way. So you do really need to think about what's possible, what's not possible, where you live, and what you have access to, and that is key. Write down what you have easy access to, and I mean everything. I've got access to 2 bathrooms in this house. My friend has a really interesting bathroom. Well, what's different about that bathroom? What's the kind of style and aesthetic that it has? What type of lighting is available in each home? And when I say lighting, I don't mean just the fixtures, I also mean the things that you can actually pick up and take to other locations like office lamps, floor lamps, other types of what we term as practical lights. That way you can actually create a list of all the possible items that you can draw on your next film. Also, start to think about what your family and friends do for their occupation. Do they have access to some interesting places that might not be off limits to you and your camera team? Friends and family are your core network. These are the people that you're going to be able to more easily go to and ask them to get permissions to go into places, to film in places. This is a great way to enable huge production value in your next film. In the case of one of my earliest short films, Best Palau, we actually had 0 budget for pretty much the entire movie. There was 3 crew, just 3, and we had budget for food and drink. That was it. So during this short film, we knew that we didn't have any money, so we knew that we had to use our flat. So we designed our film around that. And we knew that we had to make it easy for us to source and manage all of the production design because, well, we really didn't have that many hands and we didn't have a huge amount of time to put into the prep for the film. So we knew we need to make it easy for ourselves. That way, we made sure that we created a film that we were able to draw out the best production design possible. Effective production design is actually the conveying of the story in the environment around the characters as best as possible. So as we wrote the script and we thought about the production design during that phase, we realized that we were going to use our flat because it was the easiest location for us to have access to. Of course, we wake up, we're at location, and also we can manipulate that space as much as we like because we have instant access and permission. Because, can I use it? Yes, you can. Thank you very much. We also realized that by utilizing our own flat, we could start to think about the story. We actually were able to add more gags into our script because we understood the space intimately. This is so important. Understand the location before you film. This is why they have location recce's. This is why they have tech recce's. So then more ideas can come out from the specific location that you have access to. Another area of production design is taking into consideration what are the location requirements. So one of the most important locations in the film is the kitchen. And we very quickly realized that, well, this guy has just moved into the country and he's only been living off of takeaways. So the kitchen had to be completely cleaned top to bottom and completely emptied as well, because it really had to look like he hadn't even looked at the kitchen, let alone touch it, since he'd arrived. This was relatively easy. So going back a step, when we were looking at the locations for the film, we did have access to a few other homes. However, they were nicely decorated. They felt loved. Lots of things had happened to them, dings, dents, scratches, and this really wasn't what we wanted to convey with the character. So we ended up using our own flat because we had control to be able to really make it as clean as possible and take our time over it.
I wonder what Ma would do first.
Another super important part of production design is the use of color. Now, quite often, directors will use bright colors to connotate particular emotions or sensations. Stanley Kubrick famously used green to denote death in quite a few of his movies. Other times people have used the color orange to denote character change or strife, so feel free to use strong colors to impact your audience's subconscious. What we did for a Best Paylout is we utilized the idea that where the character had come from in the Caribbean before moving to the UK, we always had him sat on a bright red sofa or around something very colorful. In our flat at the time, we already had relatively beige-ish walls, and we took all of our paintings and pictures off of the walls, stripped them back, took all the stuff away, and made sure that the flat looked as unlived in as possible. This also really highlighted the moments that we showed color in the film and really made sure that they were almost pillars, moments that the audience would take more notice because there was just such a vibrant color on screen.
Yes, dear?
Mommy, what you sent me to this country for?
Don't forget, just because you've used a location once doesn't mean you can't use it again. This is where production design can come in so handy. I actually shot in the same living room and kitchen another music video that was very dark and somber, and it looks entirely different and totally unrecognizable because of the way it was lit and also what was in the space. The space we made to feel lived in. We utilized a lot of the items that we had, and then we also utilized a lot of props and set deck to be able to convey the character's mood, tone, and themes in the background. As you can see, we used a lot of elements in the background of the scene to show that this is a lived-in space. Even little elements like the horns behind his head to show that there's just something not quite right about this character, as well as also his intentions towards the end and ultimately it being quite tragic. Contrast this to the comedy Best Paylout, where we stripped everything away and the space, which is identical, looks completely different. Recipes. So in review, so make sure as you explore your story that the locations that it's calling for are actually plausible. Look at how your character lives. What does that mean for the space that they live in? What's going to be around them? What types of plants, what types of pens do they use, what types of cups do they drink from. All of these things can help reflect the character and reflect the story in a more convincing way.
You must be blinded by
Color in space. Think about how you can associate certain colors to certain things. Break the rules here. Doesn't mean that you have to keep certain colors: red for passion, green for good, blue for boy. You know, these things are just ideas and concepts that you can break. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me on today's episode. Don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell icon if you want to see more of this content. Let me know below how you have used your own production design to enhance your films. Also, check out my Patreon page where we have an awesome Discord channel for filmmakers, and also the possibility to have one-on-one sessions with me to discuss your project and how to make the most of it.